been looking forward to going in a road trip in Denmark too. Hello everybody, my name is Farmer Phil, and in today's video we are heading to the UK to a Claas demo day. No, we're not driving there. We're driving to the airport, but I have them or two tax insured, NCT'd, all passed, all ready to go. So it's the first big trip out now since I got everything sorted on it. We're gonna be it on in style. It's great to have a nice car to drive in the terminal. Waiting, Father Phil is here. Yes, he's coming too.
Oh yes. So
he went in the TT, that's why we didn't all travel together. So you're coming back.
I took the short straw to come back early.
Yes, you have to come back tomorrow. Me and Liv are staying for the weekend. So. Is it an upgrade or a downgrade for them R2? A Ford Puma. Are you in?
Hold on. Jesus, they don't have fucking seat.
Well, here we are at Claas. Claas Arian.
First up, we've got an Arian 460. So this particular model here is 140 horse, and this is the range that ranges from 90 up to 155 horse.
So on the back of Cole's tractor, this is Disco 28, so it's our entry-level disco mower. So effectively offer like 3 different series of mowers. You've got a 10 series, which is basic machine like this, so slightly lower specification, slightly lighter build. We offer a 100 series, so a few more toys, slightly heavier build, slightly higher output and slightly wider. And then we move on to the 1000 series, which is full bells and whistles, lots of nice hydraulic suspension features, again heavier in its build, and that really is aimed at a large scale farm or your contractor sort of customer. But even with a basic machine like this, there's still quite a few nice little toys on it. There's no need to get out and put like a tape measure underneath the link arm or underneath the gearbox to make sure the link arm's at the right height. He simply looks in here, and there's a simple little guide. So he lifts and lowers the link arms until the pin here in the suspension system lines up with the guide, and off he goes mowing. Last thing you want to do, because you haven't used this mower for 9 months, is remember, oh, how high does it have to be off the ground? It's ever so simple to try and use it. The big spring you see here sort of carries the weight of the mower on the far end, and the lighter spring carries the weight on the near end. We're trying to keep a nice even weight across the full width of the mower bed, even with our more basic spec machines. The mower is a straight mower, non-conditioner only, and it's a bolted blade as opposed to a quick change blade, again just to try and keep the price a bit smaller. Bit of grass. Can't beat the grass. Lovely smell of fresh grass.
Nothing like it, huh? Look at the dust going over the moor.
Yeah, just goes to show how dry it is.
What, Phil's viewers?
So this range covers from 145 up to 200 horsepower. This particular model here, 630, is 165 horse. Underneath the bonnet we've got a 6.8 litre DPS engine. This is a 100 series mower. So this is a Disco 320C. So do the model numbers mean anything? Not really. A 320C is actually 3 metres wide. So we offer 2.2, 2.6, 3 metres, 3.4, 3.8, 4.2 throughout the range. So this one is by far our most popular when you get to a 3 metre mower in this type of mower. So we said the 100 series is higher specification. The first thing that's different is it comes with quick change blades. You probably notice the suspension system's a bit heavier as well, so now 2 springs to carry the extra weight of this mower.
So what you'll find is we have belt drive that goes down into the mower bed, and this model actually has a conditioner that's driven off the PTO shaft off the other side. One thing that's probably worth pointing out, always get quite a few questions, all our new mowers from 2022 onwards now have these colour-coded discs on the top. People always ask, why do you have them? Well, for the simple reason to try and show a customer a difference between a blade that turns clockwise and one that turns anti-clockwise. So you wouldn't believe how many phone calls I get throughout the year because someone sets off a new mower and it doesn't cut very well. But when you get the blades, they come red and black. So that's the easy thing. This one here, the paint's worn off all of these, but new blades as they come through now. So it's a new feature for 2022. So the time the dealers get rid of all their stock they have in at the moment, you then start to see red and black blades on the machines, which again, it sounds simple, but you wouldn't believe how many phone calls we get of the mower beds are designed and built by Claas. So to make the mower beds, there's a unique process for it. It's an award-winning process as well. Instead of welding the mower beds together, everything is bolted. So the base plate you see underneath here, the bed of the mower, is pressed to form its curvy, wavy shape. We insert all the drive gears in here, and then we bolt the top plate down to it, so there's no weld anywhere on it. The reason we do that, if you look at any piece of machinery, be a digger, a cultivator, a mower, if you find a crack in it, guarantee the crack's by the weld. If you don't have the welds, hopefully you don't have the cracks. And the other nice feature with it as well, you can really see it here, instead of traditionally putting the discs in the centre of the mower bed, we put them right at the very front. We do that for one nice simple reason. What you really want on any colour mower is when this disc rotates from this position here all the way through to this side, is you want really 180 degrees of rotation to make the maximum sweep cutting. The reason you want that is it gives you then the most amount of overlap between disc to disc. If you ever see a mower striping in the field, it's always between the mowing discs. So again, that means more overlap here, so hopefully it cuts a lot cleaner and a lot tidier as well. This has a little raised hump to it. So where the discs turn backwards, it actually cuts against that raised part just there. So it's almost like a shear bar. It gives the knife something to actually cut against. And where the knives come forward, you see on this one, you'll notice is actually a bit thinner and it's completely smooth. So we reduce that gap again to get a longer sweep. But crucially, all these silver forged pieces all the way along sit proud of the mower bed. The reason we do that, again, in here is a lovely field, there's not many stones in it, but if you hit stone where you're mowing, you bend a blade, instead of it going around scoring all the top of the mower bed and damaging it, it hits and damages the little silver forged piece, which you can easily unbolt and remove and put a new one on. So Patrick, when you're ready, mate, off you go. Slightly lower brake back here for the right unit and over there for the left unit. You're not pivoting the whole system, each mower has its own setup. Rotors. So what we're going to do here, and what it's really suited for, is taking 3 3-metre or 10-foot swaths. You'll take them between one of the 3 pairs. If you look at the tent in a bit of detail though, so I set the specification of these machines are very different to what you find in Europe. So especially in Europe you find very light conditions of grass and hay. Over here, especially in Ireland, it gets a lot heavier. So because we have very heavy conditions, the machine's different. So things like the tines you see here, I set them heavier. So they're 10.5mm thick instead of 9. They've also got these 5 coil wraps on the top of here as opposed to maybe 3 or 4. The reason you do it is to carry more weight. What you really don't want to see when the machine's working is the tines flexing like this as a crop goes between them. So it's a much stronger, heavier machine designed for moving. Model lineup, a liner 26 is the smallest and the liner 3100 the biggest. So we go roughly from a 6-metre to a 10-metre setup. What we have here, liner 2800 goes from about 7.4 to about 8.2 metres working width. One of the differences to the predecessor, the first thing that gives it away is the new colour scheme. And as opposed to having a lot of what we call light harvest grey or the white you might know, the only part really is the little guard on the top, but we now have the dark grey and the sea green over the rest of the machine. So it physically looks a lot different than the previous generation machine. The other bit that's different as well is a few tweaks to the driveline. So in here, at the end of the PTO shafts, instead of there being cam clutches like on the old machine, this now has a friction clutch. We've done that for a couple of reasons. The first one being a friction clutch like this, when it slips, is ever so smooth. A cam clutch, when it slips, will rattle, and this puts a lot less shock load all the way through the driveline. The other benefit as well, if for example Weber goes through a bit of a hole in the field, with a cam type clutch, when it slips, pretty much the rotor will stop turning. When it engages again, you end up sweeping a big lump into the swath. Whereas with a friction clutch, you can actually brake the drive, slip, but the rotor still turns, but obviously a lot slower. Because it's still turning, it's still trying to move grass. So when the clutch is re-engaged again, you don't end up with such a big lump in the swath. And one design we have across the range is this predetermined bending point. So if you actually look at the tine arm just here, you'll notice this tube gets smaller in diameter. So this part's about 60mm thick with a 6mm wall thickness. This part's about 50mm thick with roughly a 4mm wall thickness. For example, Weber's not paying attention, he's looking on Tinder or whatever he's doing, he hits a water trough or a round bale. Instead of actually breaking the expensive parts in here, we're hoping the tine will bend at this point, and this is much cheaper and easier to fix. What we find on our tine arms, there's no holes drilled anywhere in this part of it to try and make it a lot stronger. So to take the tines out is ever so simple. You simply pull the clamp up, you slide the tine out on the little splines you see in here.
It is very dusty. Severe stripe. Do you think you'd manage it, Liv? Oh, you can smell the dust. Or grow.
No, he wouldn't manage it.
That's severe straight stuff there.
Chamber. When you look at Roland Balers, they're all fairly similar all the way across the model range. We offer a Roland 520, which is a rotor feed, more basic machine, 540, which is rotor feed or rotor cut, higher specification. And we'll look at a Unirac Roland range in a minute, which again is very high output, very high spec. Right afterwards, for this one, because it's a 400 series, it's very high spec. So it means we have a load sensing hydraulic system and also more knives. This has got 25 knives as opposed to 15 knives like on a standard Roland 540 for example. So if you want to chop it very fine, you run a full set of 25. If someone wants a slightly longer chop, you can actually run the set of 12 or run the set of 13 instead. Because a 455 actually has a slightly different type of bell chamber, at the top of here, instead of it being a fixed bell chamber at 4 foot, the top 3 roll is actually pivoting, so we start squashing the bell from about 3 foot, so we can get more weight in the bale because we're squashing it a lot earlier. It means that we can chop the inner part of the bale and maybe leave the outer part a full length. So for example, example, we're going to sell these bales and someone's going to put them into a ring feeder or into a feeder wagon, for example. A lot of our customers actually want the bale to stay banged together even without the net on it for that little bit longer. So it means we can actually chop the bale all the way through to maybe the last 2 to 4 inches and then leave that at full length. Upper arms do 36 RPM, so they're nice and fast. So you're never really waiting, especially like today where we're putting 6 layers of film on. You're not waiting for the wrapper to finish before we can put the next bale to the back of the machine.
And some other features you see on this machine which are a bit different are these pipes here, which are on the other side of the cab as well. This is our CTIC system, so this is our tyre inflation system. So this is a new option which we made available this year. And the compressor is sat on the other side of the cabin, means you, in the cab on the receiver screen you can adjust the tyre pressures for going between road work and also field work.
On the back of Cole's tractor we have our Quadrant Evolution baler. Then we offer the slightly lower spec 4200 with the same bale size, and then all the way down to our little baby Quadrant 4000, which is an 80 by 50 bale, really suited for sort of hay and haylage for horse yards, for example. We offer a rotor feed, rotor cut like this machine is, or even the fine cut models with a lot more knives. So a fine cut with a 51 knives, really good at chopping straw short for poultry sheds, for example. The rotor cut like you see here, nice for silage, but by far the most popular will be rotor feed with no knives.
That was the knotters needles going up then.
Yeah.
And then obviously here's our pre-pack setting, and then our pressure setting on this one here. So we're running 82 bar, bale length is 140 centimetres.
So you can change all from the screen?
You can change it all from the screen, it's touch screen, and we can also run it through the tractor screen if we want to as well. It's all isobus.
Yeah. Is a fair old whack every time the plunger goes back?
Yeah, especially wet silage is always a lot harder pushing through than straw row, really. So
how many
47 strokes a minute.
Right.
We don't measure, so basically we come up wad sizes. So our wad size, 5 centimetre wad size. We don't do 50 flakes or whatever. We do.
It's the size of the flake. Yeah.
So
oh, so it's counting out.
So you can see it's tells you how far up the bale chamber it is. When that gets to the beep, it beeps to say the needles are gone in then.
Oh. There's a fine bit like this.
An Axion 800 is kind of a bit of a crossover between a 600 and a 900. Why do I say that? Well, basically, underneath we've got a 6.7 litre FPT engine. This machine is in the middle of the range. We go from an 800 at 205 to an 870, which we saw on the triples earlier on, at boosting up to 295. Right, on the back of Cole's tractor, Liner 48. So this is our new generation 4-rotor rake series that we have for 2022. And again, the Liner 4800 is the middle of the 3 model range. We offer a Liner 4700, which goes up to 12.5 metres, this machine up to 13.6, and the flagship Liner 4900 at 15 metres. The nice thing with the new models though is we have a greater difference between the minimum and the maximum working width. So the machines are a lot more versatile than before. To take our flagship Liner 4900 for example, it has 5 metres of movement roughly, a little over 10 metres at minimum, which is not much different than the largest twin rotor rake, and then 15 metres at its widest. So similar to a telehandler boom, there's a 3-stage system. First, second and the third stage actually inside, and that helps to give us that extra wide working width range, which most of the weight is actually on the rear wheels and not on the front. So by carrying most of the weight back here, when we go into an uneven field, it helps the rotor to go over the lump as opposed to sort of pushing its way into it with a more balanced weight distribution. So standard would be a 6-inch tyre, these give a much bigger 9.5-inch tyre. So again, especially in wet fields, they help keep the weight of the machine up off the ground, keep it floating, stop the ruts and give us a nice clean swath. Right Cole, when you're ready mate, rake the lot.
This one is just looked after us.
So you want to have a look and see what's actually inside the Forager. So instead of having to go all the way back to the workshop, we can do it with any header, in any field, with any prop. So what we're going to do now is take the header off and then swing the feed rollers open and actually look inside the chopping cylinder. So if you want to be real keen, start counting how quick it takes Connor and Robbie to drop it off and swing the feed rollers. So from the cab.
Right.
So there you go, stop the stopwatch, probably 2 minutes to open up. 145 on, very good.
That was from backing out of it.
Yeah. So ever so easy. So this is again part of living and owning a Jaguar, is how quick you can actually get in there, not just how fast it goes down across the field, because hopefully you keep the machine for many years, many thousands of hours. So like I say, the big difference between an 8 and a 900 series is this part here, the fact you can swing the rollers open. But all our Jaguars have a lot of similarities, so that the headers that go on the front, they are the same.
Oh, that's it.
So the grass pickup you see here is the same for a 400 horsepower 840 as it is for a 925 horsepower 990. So standard with a double roller crop press, hydraulic folding wheels, the central wheel you see under here, and also they now have this little pendulum frame in the centre.